Acquainted with Grief, by Helen Hunt Jackson. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Dost know grief well? Hast known her long? So long that not with gift or smile, or gliding footstep in the throng, she can deceive thee by her guile. So long that with unflinching eyes thou smilest to thyself apart, to watch each flimsy fresh disguise she plans to stab anew thy heart. So long thou barrest up no door to stay the coming of her feet. So long thou answerest no more, lest in her ear thy cry be sweet. Dost know the voice in which she says, "No more henceforth our paths divide. In loneliest nights, in crowded days, I am forever by thy side"? Then dost thou know perchance the spell the gods laid on her at her birth, the viewless gods who mingle well strange love and hate of us on earth. Weapon and time, the hour, the place, all these are hers to take, to choose, to give us neither rest nor grace, not one heart-throb to miss or lose. All these are hers, yet stands she, slave, helpless before our one behest. The gods, that we be shamed not, gave and locked the secret in our breast. She to the gazing world must bear our crowns of triumph, if we bid. Loyal and mute our colors wear, sign of her own, forever hid. Smile to our smile, song to our song, with songs and smiles our roses fling, till men turn round in every throng to note such joyous pleasuring, and ask next morn, with eyes that lend a fervor to the words they say, "What is her name, that radiant friend who walked beside you yesterday?" End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
All in Bloom by Horatio Bonar. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. 'Twas spring 6,000 years ago. The frost wind had not come, nor winter with its cloudy gloom, and silent shroud like snow, nor summer with its fever glow. Young life, first life, was budding everywhere, and health breathed through the sweet immaculate air. Earth with its virgin soil, unscourged by human avarice and toil, untainted by the rankness of a tomb, was all in bloom. But spring, time's spotless spring, like peace and hope took wing, went upward with its fair array, leaving a faded mantle to this earth, instead of the gay raiment of its birth. It was and is not, since the gladsome day when it alighted from above on vale and field and grove, earth has not known its love. Dear spring of ours, which with the year comes up in April joy and cheer, child of the past, preserving still some features of an ancient sire, which time and change and ill, which winter's frost and summer's fire have not been able to destroy. Faint echo of a long lost song, faint relic of an earlier joy, with all thy light and smiles, thy soft and sunny wiles, what art thou to that spring, earth's first and freshest, when the magic light of this world's birthday threw its glances bright over creation's splendor? That old spring, with balm and beauty on the wing, and earth all fresh and blossoming. But spring, earth's primal season, reappears. These long 6,000 years of storm are ending, and the doom of this creation is not sealed. The curse shall be repealed. The day of glory stands revealed. Departs the gloom. Descends the life of a more vernal clime. Beyond the blights of time, 1,000 vales rejoice, 1,000 hills lift up the voice. Old ocean smiles again in golden glory clad, and sings a happier strain, the keynote of the holy rain. The tranquil sky is glad, and earth once more from shore to happy shore is all in bloom. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Burnt Offering by Helen Hunt Jackson. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. The fire leaped up, swift, hot, and red, swift, hot, and red, waiting a prey. The woman came with swift, light tread, and silently knelt down to lay armfuls of leaves upon the fire, as men lay faggots on a pyre. Armfuls of leaves which had been bright like painters' tints 6 months before, all faded now, a ghastly sight. Dusty and colourless she bore, and knelt and piled them on the fire, as men lay faggots on the pyre. Watching the crackle and the blaze, idly I smiled, and idly said, "Goodbye, dead leaves, go dead leaves' ways. Next year there will be more as red." The woman turned, and from the fire looked up as from a funeral pyre. I saw my idle words had been far crueler than I could know, and made an old wound bleed again. "These are not leaves," she whispered low, "that I am burning in the fire, but days. It is a funeral pyre." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Chant de Mai by John Augustus Shee. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Chant de Mai. Bonaparte, habited in a crimson tunic and surrounded by marshals, nobles, and dignitaries, from the platform in the open area distributed the eagles of the different regiments, and viewed the troops alternately, as they filed off in slow time before him. Stories of Waterloo. Thou of earth mighty mightiest, victor king, prince of the world's potentates, crowned Caesar, unwarned Belshazzar of the eternal city, whom dangers love as moth the mortal blaze, upon whose breath chameleon millions feed, wonder and dread of nations, hail to thee. Again thou comest, a burning thunderbolt, launched by the hand of fate to shake our orb. There, girt by princes and by prelates round, preachers of heaven, but vessels of thy will, thou sittest exalted on the imperial throne, clothed in silk and gold and ermine purple, and the far Orient's priceless pearls and plumes. To swell thy pageant deafening plaudits roar, like the deep voice of the delirious sea, and earth's artillery rivals that of heaven. The birds of Jove are here to wing thy fame, to the remotest shores, thy mandate slaves. Courtiers on courtiers brilliantly arrayed, and marshalled pomp of military men, and France's gathered chivalry are thine. And now the mitred minister of peace, and he, the apostle of the Vatican, before that blazing altar's hallowed splendor, implore the Omnipotent for France and thee. Again the iron throats of many guns lift up the echoing sanction of their thunders, which find an echo in a million hearts. See as thou speakest how every accent falls like gold into the lap of avarice upon thy people. Thou indeed art skilled to rule the passions of the populace, deep taught in the dark labyrinths of the mind, thou needst no Ariadne to direct thy pleasure through its most mysterious ways. Unrivalled in thine own philosophy, thou laugh'st at men and laughing winced his love. Ha! Dost thou kiss with thy polluted lips that sacred book the breath of heaven inspired? Dost thou not see before thy vision pass the murdered victims of thy red ambition? Pause, pause, thou glittering Moloch! Has thy bark not bounded onward through a sea of blood, wafted by breath of curses? See thy hand, stained with the massacre of Austerlitz, and yet it trembles not. Thy heart is stone, thy soul is blinded, or the thousand ghosts that howl upon the midnight Pyrenees had poured a sheet of blood upon the page. Thy ear is deaf, or thou hadst heard no sound but that which Russia's snows can never hush. The deed is ratified, the die is cast. 'Tis done, and thou art emperor once more. Who are these chiefs that slowly now approach in bright habiliments the royal throne, bearing the lightning banners of the land that flashed before the desperate Mameluke, and broke the stony sleep of Egypt's kings, long sepulchred within their wondrous tombs? God, what a spirit-stirring spectacle! See, with what ardor springing from his throne, and shooting through the dazzled multitude, the electric thrill of his superior mind, the emperor dashes off his purple robe to meet the silken heralds of his conquests. Ambition, here's thy highest elevation. Earth's millions cannot lift thy pinion higher. Pride, glory, conquest, pomp, dominion, power, unfallen, unchecked, undimmed, are slaves to thee. And now full 50,000 hearts that shine like mirrors faithful to thy proud reflection, banners in countless thousands, and the blaze of military splendor, and the crash, mingled melodiously, of martial music, the wave of plumes and sheen of helmet heads, and spears and swords and marshalled musketry, all pass devotedly beneath thine eye, ready again to cloud the mountain tops and rain a bloody deluge on the earth. And what is all this bauble? Like the ball that boyhood blows into the reckless air, that breaks its varied colours with a breath. Better and safer hadst thou not aspired beyond the sphere where thou alone couldst bless, and like the saviour of the western world, immortal Washington, sceptred and crowned with a free nation's love, a nation's pride, not with those gilded perishable things whose flashes blast thy country's independence, for they are vanity. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Child of the Flowing Tide by Jeffrey Dearmer. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Away to the call of the racing sea, child of the flowing tide. 100 chargers of ivory, and 2 of them saddled for you and me, are pawing and stamping the surf to be free. Where the wild sea horses ride, the deep waters shall roar as we race from the shore on the back of the flowing tide. Oh, hurry! The moon is away in the sky, child of the flowing tide. With your heels well down and your heart set high, you're saddled and bridled, and so am I. So gather your reins, for the foam will fly where the wild sea horses ride. Grip tight with your knees as you gallop the seas on the back of the flowing tide. On the wide lagoon I'll meet you tonight, child of the flowing tide. When the moon swings high, and the stars are alight, and the roaring sea chargers are ready to fight, their manes are all foam and their coats are all white, where the wild sea horses ride, the deep waters shall roar as we race from the shore on the back of the flowing tide. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Clarel, A Poem and Pilgrimage in the Holy Land by Herman Melville. From Part 4, Canto 10, A Monument. Read for LibriVox.org. Wise Derwent, that discourse to end, pointed athwart the dale divine. What's yonder object? Fountain? Shrine? Companions, let us thither go, and make inspection. In consent, silent they follow him in calm. It proved an ancient monument, rude stone, but tablets lent a charm. 3 tablets on 3 sides. In one the tender shepherd mild looked down upon the rescued weaning lost, snugged now in arms. In emblem crossed by pastoral crook, Christ's monogram, wrought with a medieval grace, showed on the square opposed in face. But chiefly did they feel the claim of the main tablet. There a lamb on passive haunches upright sate, in patience which reproached not fate. The 2 fine furry forelegs drooping like tassels, while the shearer stooping embraced it with one arm, and all the fleece rolled off in seamless shawl, flecked here and there with hinted blood. It did not shrink, no cry did come. In still life of that stone subdued, shearer and shorn alike were dumb. As with a 74, when lull lapses upon the storm, the hull rights for the instant, while a moan of winds succeeds the howl. So here, in poise of heart and altered tone with hunger, respite brief though dear it proved, for he, this type's assigned to one who sharing not man's mind partook man's frame, whose mystic birth wrecked him upon this reef of earth, inclement and inhuman. Yet through all the trials that beset he leaned on an upholding arm, foreknowing, too, reserves of balm. But how of them whose souls may claim some link with Christ beyond the name, which share the fate, but never share aid or assurance, and nowhere look for requital? Such there be. In bylanes o'er the world ye see the Calvary faces. All averse turned Derwent, murmuring, "Forbear! Such breakers do the heaven asperse." But timely he alert espied, upon the mountain humbly kneeling, those shepherds twain, while morning tide rolled o'er the hills with golden healing. It was a rock they kneeled upon, convenient for their rite avowed, kneeled in their turbaned foreheads bowed over till they kissed the stone. Each shaggy surcoat heedful spread for rug, such as in mosque is laid. About the ledges favored him, mild fed their sheep, enringing them, while facing as by second sight, toward Mecca they direct the right. "Look, and their backs on Bethlehem turned," cried Rolf. The priest then, who discerned the drift, replied, "Yes, for they pray to Allah." "Well, and what of that? Christ listens, standing in heaven's gate, benignant listens, nor doth stay upon a syllable in creed, vowels and consonants indeed." And Rolf, "But here, where Margoth now, seeing yon shepherds praying so, his guide would run from man to man, which is the humble publican. Or do they but prostrate them there, to flout you Franks with Islam's prayer?" Doubtless some shallow thing he'd say, poor fellow, Derwent then, but nay, earnest they are, nor yet they'd part, if pealed the hour in street or mart, from like observance. If 'tis so, the refugee let all avow, as openly faith's loyal heart. By Christians too was God confessed, how frankly, in those days that come, no more to misnamed Christendom. Religion then was the good guest, first served and last in every gate, what mottos upon wall and pate. She every human venture shared, The ship in manifest declared that not disclaiming heaven she thrust her bowsprit into fog and storm. Some current silver bore and palm of Christ, token of saint or bust. In line devout the pikemen kneeled, to battle by the right were scaled. Men were not lettered, but had sense beyond the mean intelligence that knows to read, and but to read, not think. 'Twas harder to mislead the people then, whose smattering now does but the more their ignorance show. Nay, them to peril more expose, is as the ring in the bull's nose, whereby a pert boy turns and winds this monster of 1,000,000 minds. Men owned true masters, kings owned God, their master. Louis plied the rod upon himself in high estate, not puffed up like a democrat in office. How was Charlemagne? Look up he did, look up in reign, humbly look up, who might look down. His meekest thing was still his crown. How meek on him, since graven there among the apostles 12. Behold, stern scriptural precepts were enrolled, high admonitions meet for kings. The coronation was a prayer, which yet in ceremonial clings. The church was like a bonfire warm, all ranks were gathered round the charm. Derwent, who vainly had essayed to impede the speaker or blockade, snatched at the bridle here. Ho, wait, a word, impetuous laureate. This bric-a-brash's style, outgrown almost, where first it gave the tone of lauding the quaint ages old. But nay, that satire I withhold. Grant your side of the shield part true, what then? Why turn the other, view the buckler in reverse. Don't sages denominate those times dark ages? Dark Middle Ages, times midnight. If night, it was no starless one. Art still admires what then was done, a strength they showed which is of light. Not more the Phidian marbles prove the graces of the Grecian prime, and indicate what men they were, than the grand ministers in remove do intimate, if not declare a magnanimity which our time would envy, were it great enough to comprehend. Your counterbuff, however, holds. Yes, frankly, yes, another side there is, admit. Nor less the very worst of it reveals not such a shamelessness of evil-doer and hypocrite and sordid mercenary sin as these days vaunt and revel in. No use, the priest aside. Patience, it is the maddest tide, and seated him. And Unger then, what's overtaken ye pale men? Shrewd are ye, the main chance ye heed. Has God quite lost his throne indeed, that lukewarm now ye grow? Wilt own, counsel ye take with fossil stone? Your sects do nowadays create churches as worldly as the state. And for your more established forms, once in York I viewed through storms the minister's majesty of mine. Towers, peaks, and pinnacles sublime. Faith's iceberg, stranded on a scene how alien, and an alien time. But now, he checked himself, and stood. Whence this strange bias of his mood, thought they, leaning to things corroded, but many deemed for I exploded. But truly, knowing not the man at fault, they in conjecture ran. But Unger, as in fitter place set down, being sprung from Romish race, albeit himself had spared to feed on any one elected creed or rite, though much he might recall in annals bearing upon all, and in this land named of behest, a wandering Ishmael from the west, inherited the Latin mind, which late, blown by the adverse wind of harder fortunes that molest, kindled from ember into coal. The priest, as one who keeps him whole, anew turns toward the kneeling twain. Your air's slight, or if a stain, 'twill fade. Our Lord enjoins good deeds, nor catechiseth in the creeds. A something in the voice or man, or in assumption of the turn, which prior theme did so adjourn, pricked Unger, and a look he ran toward Derwent, an electric light chastising in its fierce revolt, then settled into that still night of cloud which has discharged the bolt. End of excerpt. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Epilog, Canto 35, from Clarel, A Poem and Pilgrimage in the Holy Land, by Herman Melville, first published in 1876. Read for LibriVox.org. Canto 35, Epilog. If Luther's day expand to Darwin's year, shall that exclude the hope, foreclose the fear? Unmoved by all the claims our times avow, the ancient Sphinx still keeps the porch of shade. And comes despair, whom not her calm may cow, and coldly on that adamantine brow scrawls undeterred his bitter pasquinade. But Faith, who from the scrawl indignant turns, with blood warm oozing from her wounded trust, inscribes even on her shards of broken urns the sign of the cross, the spirit above the dust. Yea, ape and angel, strife and old debate, the harps of heaven and dreary gongs of hell, science the feud can only aggravate, no umpire she betwixt the chimes and knell. The running battle of the star and clod shall run forever, if there be no God. Degrees we know, unknown in days before, the light is greater, hence the shadow more, and a tantalized and apprehensive man, appealing, wherefore ripen us to pain? Seems there the spokesman of dumb nature's train, but through such strange illusions have they passed, who in life's pilgrimage have baffled striven, even death may prove unreal at the last, and Stoics be astounded into heaven. Then keep thy heart, though yet but ill resigned, Clarel, thy heart, the issues there but mind, that like the crocus budding through the snow, that like a swimmer rising from the deep, that like a burning secret which doth go even from the bosom that would hoard and keep, emerge thou mayst from the last whelming sea, and prove that death but routs life into victory. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Cleopatra by Arthur Symons. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Your eyes have drunk eternity. They haunt me in oblivious hours, and follow me among the flowers. Your eyes hold fast the mystery of other memories than ours. Within your immemorial eyes there sits the cruelty of time, in its indifference sublime. Empty and infinitely wise, your eyes outreach the bounds of time. I gaze into your endless gaze, I lose myself as in a sea. I love myself, content to be a stream that all its nights and days lives but to die into the sea. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Cow by Robert Louis Stevenson. Read for LibriVox.org by Chad Horner from Ballyclare in County Antrim, Northern Ireland, situated in the northeast of the island of Ireland. The friendly cow, all red and white, I love with all my heart. She gives me cream with all her might to eat with apple tart. She wanders lowing here and there, and yet she cannot stray, all in the pleasant open air, the pleasant light of day. And blown by all the winds that pass, and wet with all the showers, she walks among the meadow grass and eats the meadow flowers. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Crossing the Bar by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Sunset and evening star, and one clear call from me. And may there be no moaning of the bar when I put out to sea. But such a tide as moving seems asleep, too full for sound and foam, when that which drew from out the boundless deep turns again home. Twilight and evening bell, and after that the dark. And may there be no sadness of farewell when I embark. For though from out our bourne of time and place the flood may bear me far, I hope to see my pilot face to face when I have crossed the bar. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dean Swift at Sir Arthur Acheson's in the North of Ireland by Jonathan Swift. Read for LibriVox.org by Chad Horner from Ballyclare in County Antrim, Northern Ireland, situated in the northeast of the island of Ireland. The Dean would visit Market Hill. Our invitation was but slight. I said, why, let him if he will, and so I bade Sir Arthur write. His manners would not let him wait, lest we should think ourselves neglected, and so we see him at our gate 3 days before he was expected. After a week, a month, a quarter, and day succeeding after day, says not a word of his departure, though not a soul would have him stay. I've said enough to make him blush, methinks, or else the devil's in it, but he cares not for it a rush, nor for my life will take the hint. But you, my dear, may let him know, in civil language, if he stays, how deep and foul the roads may grow, and that he may command the chaise. Or you may say my wife intends, though I should be exceeding proud, this winter to invite some friends, and sir, I know you hate a crowd. Or, Mr. Dean, I should with joy beg you would here continue still, but we must go to Aghnacloy, or Mr. Murr will take it ill. The house accounts are daily rising, so much his stay doth swell the bills. My dearest life, it is surprising how much he eats, how much he swills. His brace of puppies, how they stuff, and they must have 3 meals a day, yet never think they get enough. His horses, too, eat all our hay. Oh, if I could, how I would maul his tallow face and waistcoat paws, his beetle brows and eyes of whale, and make him soon give up the cause. Must I be every moment chide with skinny Bona, snipe and lean? Oh, that I could but once be rid of this insulting tyrant Dean. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Dogwood Blossoms by George Marion McClellan. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. To dreamy languors and the violet mist of early spring, the deep sequestered vale, gives first her paling blue miamist, where blithely pours the cuckoo's annual tale of summer promises and tender green, of a new life and beauty yet unseen. The forest trees have yet a sighing mouth, where dying winds of March their branches swing, while upward from the dreamy sunny south a hand invisible leads on the spring. His rounds from bloom to bloom the bee begins with flying song, and cowslip wine he sups, where to the warm and passing southern winds azaleas gently swing their yellow cups. Soon everywhere, with glory through and through, the fields will spread with every brilliant hue. But high o'er all the early floral train, where softness all the arching sky resumes, the dogwood dancing to the wind's refrain, in stainless glory spreads its snowy blooms. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Faithful Bird by William Cooper. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. The Faithful Bird. The greenhouse is my summer seat. My shrubs, displaced from that retreat, enjoyed the open air. Two goldfinches, whose sprightly song had been their mutual solace long, lived happy prisoners there. They sang as blithe as finches sing, that flutter loose on golden wing, and frolic where they list. Strangers to liberty, 'tis true, but that delight they never knew, and therefore never missed. But nature works in every breast with force not easily suppressed, and Dick felt some desires that, after many an effort vain, instructed him at length to gain a pass between his wires. The open windows seemed to invite the freeman to a farewell flight, but Tom was still confined, and Dick, although his way was clear, was much too generous and sincere to leave his friend behind. So settling on his cage, by play and chirp and kiss he seemed to say, "You must not live alone." Nor would he quit that chosen stand, till I, with slow and cautious hand, returned him to his own. O ye, who never taste the joys of friendship, satisfied with noise, fandango, ball, and rout, blush when I tell you how a bird a prison with a friend preferred to liberty without. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The First Lie by Helen Leah Reid. Read for LibriVox.org by Kudrna. I'm sure I did not break this cup. It just fell down. I know it did. For I was only climbing up. Why do they keep the cake box hid? I wanted such a little bit. And then I heard that creaking door. I can't tell what it was I hid, nor how that cup got on the floor. The shelf it stood on was too high. That cup my mother loved the most. Oh dear, I never told a lie. And mother whispered, "Do not boast." The day I said I never could. But there's that broken cup, and then I promise that I never would. So I'll not tell a lie again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Flameheart by Claude McKay. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. So much have I forgotten in 10 years, so much in 10 brief years. I have forgot what time the purple apples come to juice, and what month brings the shy forget-me-not. Forgotten is the special, startling season of some beloved trees flowering and fruiting, what time of year the ground doves brown the fields and fill the noonday with their curious fluting. I have forgotten much, but still remember the poinsettia's red blood-red and warm December. I still recall the honey-fever grass, but I cannot bring back to mind just when we rooted them out of the ping-wing path to stop the mad bees in the rabbit pen. I often try to think in what sweet month the languid painted ladies used to dapple the yellow by-road amazing from the main, sweet with the golden threads of the rose-apple. I have forgotten, strange, but quite remember the poinsettia's red, blood-red, and warm December. What weeks, what months, what time of the mild year we cheated school to have our fling at tops! What days our wine-thrilled bodies pulsed with joy, feasting upon blackberries in the copse! Oh, some I know, I have embalmed the days, even the sacred moments when we played, all innocent of passion uncorrupt, at noon and evening in the flame-heart's shade. We were so happy, happy. I remember, beneath the poinsettia's red, in warm December. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
God Give Me Strength by Anonymous. Read for LibriVox.org. Each day I pray, God give me strength anew, to do the task I do not wish to do, to yield obedience, not asking why, to love and own the truth and scorn the lie, to look a cold world bravely in the face, to cheer for those that pass me in the race, to bear my burdens gaily, unafraid, to lend a hand to those that need my aid, to measure what I am by what I give. God, give me strength that I may rightly live. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Golden Journey to Samarkand by James Elroy Flecker. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Prologue. We who with songs beguile your pilgrimage, and swear that beauty lives though lilies die, we poets of the proud old lineage, who sing to your hearts, we know not why. What shall we tell you? Tales, marvelous tales of ships and stars and isles where good men rest, where nevermore the rose of sunset pales, and winds and shadows fall toward the west? And there the world's first huge white-bearded kings, in dim glades sleeping, murmur in their sleep, and closer round their breasts the ivy clings, cutting its pathway slow and red and deep. 2. And how beguile you? Death has no repose warmer and deeper than the orient sand, which hides the beauty and bright faith of those who made the golden journey to Samarkand. And now they wait and whiten peaceably, those conquerors, those poets, those so fair. They know time comes, not only you and I, but the whole world shall whiten, here or there, when those long caravans that cross the plain, with dauntless feet and sound of silver bells, put forth no more for glory or for gain, take no more solace from the palm-girt wells, when the great markets by the sea shut fast, all that calm Sunday that goes on and on, when even lovers find their peace at last, and earth is but a star that once had shone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Good Hours from North of Boston by Robert Frost. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothmann. I had, for my winter evening walk, no one at all with whom to talk. But I had the cottages in a row, up to their shining eyes in snow. And I thought I had the folk within. I heard the sound of a violin. I had a glimpse through curtain laces of youthful forms and youthful faces. I had such company outward bound, I went until there were no cottages found. I turned and repented, but coming back I saw no window, but that was black. Over the snow my creaking feet disturbed the slumbering village street, like profanation, by your leave, at 10 o'clock of a winter's eve. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Growing Old by Matthew Arnold. Read for LibriVox.org by Eva Davis. What is it to grow old? Is it to lose the glory of the form, the luster of the eye? Is it for beauty to forego her wreath? Yes, but not this alone. Is it to feel our strength, not our bloom only, but our strength decay? Is it to feel each limb grow stiffer, every function less exact, each nerve more loosely strung? Yes, this, and more, but not, 'tis not what in youth we dreamed 'twould be. 'Tis not to have our life mellowed and softened as with sunset glow a golden day's decline. 'Tis not to see the world as from a height with rapt prophetic eyes, and heart profoundly stirred, and weep and feel the fullness of the past, the years that are no more. It is to spend long days, and not once feel that we were ever young. It is to add, immured, in the hot prison of the present, month to month, with weary pain. It is to suffer this, and feel but half and feebly what we feel. Deep in our hidden heart festers the dull remembrance of a change, but no emotion. None. It is, last stage of all, when we are frozen up within and quite the phantom of ourselves, to hear the world applaud the hollow ghost which blamed the living man. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hjalmar Speaks to the Raven by James Elroy Flecker. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. Night on the blood-stained snow, the wind is chill, and there 1,000 tombless warriors lie, grasping their swords, wild-featured. All are still. Above them the black ravens wheel and cry. A brilliant moon sends her cold light abroad. Hjalmar arises from the reddened slain, heavily leaning on his broken sword, and bleeding from his side the battle rain. Hail to you all! Is there one breath still drawn among those fierce and fearless lads who played so merrily, and sang as sweet in the dawn as thrushes singing in the bramble shade? They have no word to say. My helm's unbound, my breastplate by the axe unriveted. Blood's on my eyes. I hear a spreading sound, like waves or wolves that clamor in my head. Eater of men, old raven, come this way, and with thine iron bill open my breast. Tomorrow find us where we lie today, and bear my heart to her that I love best. Through Uppsala, where drink the jarls and sing, and clash their golden bowls in company, bird of the moor, carry on tireless wing to Ilmar's daughter, there the heart of me. And thou shalt see her standing straight and pale, high pedestaled on some rook-haunted tower. She has 2 earrings, silver and vermeil, and eyes like stars that shine in the sunset hour. Tell her my love, thou dark bird ominous. Give her my heart, no bloodless heart and vile, but red compact and strong, O raven. Thus shall Elmer's daughter greet thee with a smile. Now let my life from 20 deep wounds flow, and wolves may drink the blood. My time is done. Young, brave, and spotless, I rejoice to go and sit where all the gods are, in the sun. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Hymn to Satan by Giosuè Carducci, translated in English by Frank Sewell, read for LibriVox.org by Liber on the 27th of May 2020. To thee my verses unbridled and daring shall mount, O Satan, king of the banquet. Away with thy sprinkling, O priest, and thy droning, for never shall Satan, O priest, stand behind thee. See how the rust is gnawing the mystical sword of St. Michael, and how the faithful wind-plucked archangel falls into emptiness, frozen the thunder in hand of Jehovah. Like to pale meteors, or planets exhausted, out of the firmament rain down the angels. Here in the matter which never sleeps, King of phenomena, King of all forms, thou, Satan, livest. Thine is the empire, felt in the dark eyes, tremulous flashing, whether their languishing glances resist, or, glittering and tearful, they call and invite. How shine the clusters with happy blood, so that the furious joy may not perish, so that the languishing love be restored, and sorrow be banished, and love be increased. Thy breath, O Satan, my verses inspires, when from my bosom the gods I defy, of kings pontifical, of kings inhuman. Thine is the lightning that sets minds to shaken. For thee Ariman, Adonis, Astarte, for thee live the marbles, the pictures, the parchments, when the fair Venus, Anadiomene, bless the Ionian heaven serene. For thee were roaring the forests of Lebanon, of the fair Cyprian Lova reborn. For thee rose the chorus, for thee raved the dances, for thee the pure shining loves of the virgins, under the sweet odored palms of Idume, where break in white foam the Cyprian waves. What if the barbarous Nazarene fury, fed by the base rites of secret feastings, light sacred torches to burn down the temples, scattering abroad the scrolls hieroglyphic? In thee find refuge the humble roofed plebs, who have not forgotten the gods of the household. Thence comes the power, fervid and loving, that filling the quick throbbing bosom of woman, turns to the succor of nature enfeebled, a sorceress pallid, with endless care laden. Thou to the trance-holden eye of the alchemist, thou to the view of the bigoted mago, showest the lightning flash of the new time, shining behind the dark bars of the cloister, seeking to fly from thee. Here in the world life hides in the gloomy monk in Theban deserts. O soul that wanderest far from the straight way, Satan is merciful, see Eloisa. In vain you wear yourself thin in rough gown, I still murmur the verses of Maro and Flaccus amid the Davidic psalming and wailing, and elfic figures close to thy side, rosy amid the dark cowls of the friars, enters Lycorida, enters Glycera. Then other images of days more fair come to dwell with thee in thy secret cell. Lo, from the pages of Livy, the tribunes all ardent, the consuls, the crowds tumultuous awake, and the fantastic pride of Italian drives thee, O monk, up to the Capitol, and you whom the flaming pyre never melted, conjuring voices, Wycliffe and Huss, send to the broad breeze the cry of the watchman. The age renews itself, full is the time. Already tremble the mitres and crowns. Forth from the cloister moves the rebellion. Under his stole see fighting and preaching Brother Girolamo Savonarola. Off goes the tunic of Martin Luther, off go the fetters that bound human thought. It flashes and lightens, girdled with flame. Mutter, exalt thyself, Satan is won. If fair and terrible monster unchained courses the oceans, courses the earth, flashing and smoking like the volcanoes, he climbs over mountains, ravages plains, skims the abysses, then is lost in unknown caverns and wastes profound, till lo, unconquered, from shore to shore, like to the whirlwind he sends forth his cry, like to the whirlwind spreading its wings, he passes, O people, Satan the great. Hail to thee, Satan, hail the rebellion, hail of the reason the great vindicator. Sacred to thee shall rise incense and vows, thou as the god of the priests is enthroned. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
I'm Nobody by Emily Dickinson. Read for LibriVox.org by Grace Buchanan. I'm nobody. Who are you? Are you nobody too? Then there's a pair of us. Don't tell. They'd banish us, you know. How dreary to be somebody. How public like a frog. To tell your name the livelong day to an admiring bog. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In the Dark by Helen Hunt Jackson. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. As one who journeys on a stormy night through mountain passes which he does not know, shields like his life from savage gusts that blow the swaying flame of his frail torch's light, so each of us through life's long groping fight clings fast to one dear faith, one love whose glow makes darkness noonday to our trusting sight, and joys of perils into which we go. God help us when this precious shining mark the raging storms of deep distrust assail with icy poisoned breath and deadly aim, till we, with hearts that shrink and cower and quail in terror, which no measure has nor name, stand trembling, helpless, palsied in the dark. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In Time of the Breaking of Nations by Thomas Hardy. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. In Time of the Breaking of Nations. Jeremiah chapter 51 verse 20. Only a man harrowing clods in a slow silent walk with an old horse that stumbles and nods, half asleep as they stalk. Only thin smoke without flame from the heaps of couch grass. Yet this will go onward the same, though dynasties pass. Yonder a maid and her white come whispering by. War's annals will cloud into night ere their story die. 1915. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Kraken by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Read for LibriVox.org by Daniel Davison. Below the thunders of the upper deep, far, far beneath, in the abysmal sea, his ancient, dreamless, uninvaded sleep, the Kraken sleepeth, faintest sunlights flee about his shadowy sides. Above him swell huge sponges of millennial growth and height, and far away into the sickly light, from many a wondrous grot and secret cell, unnumbered and enormous polypi winnow with giant fins the slumbering green. There hath he lain for ages, and will lie, battening upon huge sea worms in his sleep, until the latter fire shall heat the deep. Then once, by man and angels to be seen, in roaring he shall rise, and on the surface die. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Last Word by Unknown. In The Epitome, the yearbook of Hagerstown High School, class of 1922. Read for LibriVox.org by Mike Overby, Midland, Washington. It is done. This is the end. Maybe it might have been better. The book is done. We offer you this. It is not what we dreamed of. It is not all we planned it should be. We have tried, but fate said our trying was useless. We have labored with an experience. We have dreamed in terms of things that we knew little of. This is the end. Our task is done. Deal kindly with it, knowing we tried. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Vie C'est la Vie by Jessie Fawcett. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. On summer afternoons I sit, quiescent by you in the park, and idly watch the sunbeams gild and tint the ash tree's bark. Or else I watch the squirrels frisk and chaffer in the grassy lane, and all the while I mark your voice, breaking with love and pain. I know a woman who would give her chance of heaven to take my place, to see the love light in your eyes, the love glow on your face. And there's a man whose lightest word can set my chilly blood afire. Fulfillment of his least behest defines my life's desire. But he will none of me, nor I of you, nor you of her. 'Tis said the world is full of jests like these. I wish that I were dead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lilliputian by Herman Reinstein. Read for LibriVox.org by Mike Overby, Midland, Washington. He loved to tinker with tiny tools, the tiny clink of glass, the taste of rare homemade tidbits, the feel of tiny gobbles in his hand. All brought him strangely closer to himself. In his small, still dreams, the cat, the dog, even his wife was small. There were tiny belts, tiny screws, tiny nails, Hammers, wires, pliers, a little world for Lilliputians. His dream was always short and small. By trade he was a blacksmith, and now he is our milkman. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Love the Light Giver by Michelangelo Buonarroti. Translated by J.A. Symonds. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. Veggio cobei vostri occhi. With your fair eyes a charming light I see, for which my own blind eyes would peer in vain. Stayed by your feet, the burden I sustain, which my lame feet find all too strong for me. Wingless upon your pinions forth I fly. Heavenward your spirit stareth me to strain. E'en as you will, I blush and blanch again, freeze in the sun, burn 'neath the frosty sky. Your will includes and is the lord of mine. Life to my thoughts within your heart is given. My words begin to breathe upon your breath. Like to the moon am I, that cannot shine alone, for lo, our eyes see naught in heaven, save what the living sun illumineth. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
My Dead Dream by Sarojini Naidu. Read for LibriVox by Garfield Dsouza. Have you found me at last, O my dream? 7 eons ago you died, and I buried you deep under forests of snow. Why have you come hither? Who bade you awake from your sleep and track me beyond the cerulean foam of the deep? Would you tear from my lintels these sacred green garlands of leaves? Would you scare the white, nested wild pigeons of joy from my eaves? Would you touch and defile with dead fingers the robes of my priest? Would you weave your dim moan with the chantings of love at my feast? Go back to your grave, O my dream, under forest of snow, where a heart-riven child hid you once, 7 eons ago. Who bade you arise from your darkness? I bid you depart. Profane not the shrines I have raised in the clefts of my heart. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
No Time Like the Old Time by Oliver Wendell Holmes. Read for LibriVox.org by Anita Sloma-Martinez. There is no time like the old time when you and I were young, when the buds of April blossomed and the birds of springtime sung. The garden's brightest glories by summer's suns are nursed, but oh, the sweet, sweet violets, the flowers that opened first. There is no place like the old place where you and I were born, where we lifted first our eyelids on the splendors of the morn from the milk-white breast that warmed us, from the clinging arms that bore, where the dear eyes glistened o'er us that will look on us no more. There is no friend like the old friend who has shared our morning days, no greeting like his welcome, no homage like his praise. Fame is the scentless sunflower with gaudy crown of gold, but friendship is the breathing rose with sweets in every fold. There is no love like the old love that we courted in our pride, though our leaves are falling, falling, and we're fading side by side. There are blossoms all around us with the colors of our dawn, and we live in borrowed sunshine when the day star is withdrawn. There are no times like the old times, they shall never be forgot. There is no place like the old place, keep green the dear old spot. There are no friends like our old friends, may heaven prolong their lives. There are no loves like our old loves, God bless our loving wives. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
O Captain, My Captain by Walt Whitman. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Danny Osade. O Captain, my Captain, our fearful trip is done. The ship has weathered every rack, the prize we sought is won. The port is near, the bells I hear, the people all exulting, while follow eyes the steady keel, the vessel grim and daring. But O heart, 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 oh, the bleeding drops of red, where on the deck my captain lies, fallen, cold, and dead. O Captain, my Captain, rise up and hear the bells. Rise up, for you the flag is flung, for you the bugle trills, for you bouquets and ribbon wreaths, for you the shores are crowding, for you they call, the swaying mass, their eager faces turning. Hear, Captain, dear father, the arm beneath your head. It is some dream that on the deck you've fallen cold and dead. My captain does not answer, his lips are pale and still. My father does not feel my arm, he has no pulse nor will. The ship is anchored safe and sound, its voyage closed and done. From fearful trip the victor's ship comes in with object won. Exalt, O shores, and ring, O bells! But I, with mournful tread, walk the deck my captain lies, fallen, cold, and dead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Oh, Death Will Find Me Long Before I Tire, by Rupert Brooke. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. Oh, death will find me long before I tire of watching you, and swing me suddenly into the shade and loneliness and mire of the last land. There, waiting patiently, one day I'll think, I'll feel a cool wind blowing, see a slow light across the Stygian tide, and hear the dead about me stir, unknowing, and tremble, and I shall know that you have died. And watch you, a broad-browed and smiling dream, pass light as ever through the lightless host, quietly ponder, start, and sway and gleam, most individual and bewildering ghost, and turn and toss your brown delightful head amusedly among the ancient dead. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Origin of the Kamini Flower by Jatindra Mohan Tagore. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. A maiden fair once loved a youth. To win his smile she ever sighed. But false she found his plighted truth. Of broken heart the maiden died. The love god's breast with pity warmed, and now for once himself he blamed. Into a flower the maid transformed, and sweet Kamini it was named. And evermore alone at night, it weeps full many a dewy tear, but fades and falls ere dawn of light, lest faithless man approach it near. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Oxford Meadows by William Force Stead. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Willow and poplar rooted in watery meadow of luxury, by the slow stream, round you delightedly spring and her kingcups, summer and meadowsweet wander and dream. Wind in a radiance silvery quivering, skims on the wave where greenly it flows. Sparkling a brilliance, willow and poplar twinkle and sparkle when the wind blows. Clouds in the tree tops, swan white and snow bright, float through the greenery, sailing away. Fly, heart, with cloud flight, shine, heart, with sunlight, dream with the slow stream, blossom in May. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ozymandias by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Read for LibriVox.org by Daniel Davison. I met a traveller from an antique land, who said 2 vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed, and on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, with despair. Nothing beside remains, round the decay of the colossal wreck, boundless and bare. The lone and level sands stretch far away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Past and Future by Sarojini Naidu. Read for LibriVox.org by Mike Overby, Midland, Washington. The new hath come, and now the old retires, and so the past becomes a mountain cell, where lone, apart, old, hermit memories dwell. In consecrated calm, forgotten yet, of the keen heart that hastens to forget old longings and fulfilling new desires. And now the soul stands in a vague, intense expectancy, and anguish of suspense. On the dim chamber threshold, lo, he sees like a strange, faded bride, as yet unknown, his timid future shrinking there alone, beneath her marriage veil of mysteries. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Plagues at the Play by Harry Graham. Read for LibriVox.org by Chad Horner from Ballyclare in County Antrim, Northern Ireland, situated in the northeast of the island of Ireland. Well dressed and well fed and well-meaning, God knows, they arrive when the play is half ended. As they pass to their stalls through the tightly packed rows, they beruffle your hair and they tread on your toes, quite unconscious of having offended. Then they argue a bit as to how they shall sit and uncloak in a leisurely fashion, while they act as a blind to the people behind, who grow perfectly purple with passion, till at last, by the time they have seated and settled, their neighbours all round them are thoroughly nettled. A programme, of course, they've forgotten to buy. This in audible accents they mention, and whenever some distant attendant they spy, they hallo or give vent to remarks such as "Hi," in attempts to attract her attention. After this, which is worse, they will loudly converse and enjoy a good gossip together on the clothes they have bought and the colds they have caught, on the state of the crops and the weather, till they leave in the midst of some tense situation, that spoilt by their flow of inane conversation. O managers, pray, I am asking too much, if I beg that these persons of leisure be kept in a sound-proof and separate hutch, if their nightly theatrical manners are such as to spoil other playgoers' pleasure. For it can't be denied that a playhouse supplied with a cage for such talkative parrots, or a series of stalls of the kind that have walls and some hay and a couple of carrots, would bestow on the public a boon and a blessing, and deal with an evil in need of redressing. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Poor Matthias by Matthew Arnold. Read for LibriVox.org by Eva Davis. Poor Matthias. Found him lying, fallen beneath his perch, and dying. Found him stiff, you say, though warm, all convulsed his little form. Poor canary. Many a year well he knew his mistress dear. Now in vain you call his name, vainly raise his rigid frame, vainly warm him in your breast, vainly kiss his golden crest, smooth his ruffled plumage fine, touch his trembling beak with wine. One more gasp, it is the end, dead and mute our tiny friend. Songster thou, of many a year, now thy mistress brings thee here, says it fits that I rehearse tribute due to thee, a verse, meed for daily song of yore, silent now, forevermore. Poor Matthias, wouldst thou have more than pity, claim'st a stave, friends more near us than a bird, we dismissed without a word, rover with a good brown head, great Dsouza, they are dead. Dead, and neither prose nor rhyme tells the praises of their prime. Thou didst know them old and grey, know them in their sad decay. Thou hast seen a Dsouza sage sit for hours beside thy cage. Thou wouldst chirp, thou foolish bird, flutter, chirp, she never stirred. What were now these toys to her? Down she sank amid her fur, eyed thee with a soul resigned, and thou deemedst cats were kind, cruel, but composed and bland, dumb, inscrutable, and grand. So Tiberius might have sat, had Tiberius been a cat. Rover died, a Dsouza too. Less than they to us are you. Nearer human were their powers, closer knit their life with ours. Hands had stroked them, which are cold, now for years in churchyard mould. Comrades of our past were they, of that unreturning day. Changed and aging, they and we dwelt, it seemed, in sympathy. Alway from their presence broke somewhat which remembrance woke of the loved, the lost, the young. Yet they died, and died unsung. Geist came next, our little friend. Geist had verse to mourn his end. Yes, but that enforcement strong, which compelled for Geist a song, all that gay, courageous cheer, all that human pathos dear, soul-fed eyes with suffering worn, pain heroically borne, faithful love in depth divine. Poor Matthias, were they thine? Max and Kaiser we today greet upon the lawn at play. Max a dachshund without blot, Kaiser should be, but is not. Max with shining yellow coat, prinking ears, and dewlap throat. Kaiser with his collie face, penitent for want of race, which may be the first to die, vain to augur, they or I. But as age comes on, I know, poet's fire gets faint and low, if so be that travel they first the inevitable way. Much I doubt if they shall have dirge from me to crown their grave. Yet, poor bird, thy tiny course moves me, somehow, to remorse. Something haunts my conscience, brings sad, compunctious visitings. Other favourites dwelling here open live to us and near. Well we knew when they were glad, plain we saw if they were sad. Joyed with them when they were gay, soothed them in their last decay. Sympathy could feel and show, both in weal of theirs and woe. Birds, companions more unknown, live beside us, but alone, finding not, do all they can, passage from their souls to man. Kindness we bestow and praise, laud their plumage, greet their lays. Still, beneath their feathered breast stirs a history unexpressed. Wishes there, and feelings strong, incommunicably throng. What they want, we cannot guess, fail to track their deep distress. Dull look on when death is nigh. Note no change, and let them die. Poor Matthias, couldst thou speak, what a tale of thy last week! Every morning we did pay stupid salutations gay, suited well to health. But how mocking, how incongruous now! Cake we offered, sugar, seed, never doubtful of thy need. Praised, perhaps, thy courteous eye, praised thy golden livery. Gravely thou the while, poor dear, satst upon thy perch to hear, fixing with a mute regard us, thy human keepers, hard, troubling, with our chatter vain, ebb of life, and mortal pain, us, unable to divine our companion's dying sign, or o'erpass the severing sea, set betwixt ourselves and thee, till the sands thy feathers smirch, fallen, dying off thy perch. Was it, as the Grecian sings, birds were born the first of things, before the sun, before the wind, before the gods, before mankind, airy anti-mundane throng, witness their unworldly song, proof they give, too, primal powers of a prescience more than ours. Teach us, while they come and go, when to sail and when to sow. Cuckoo calling from the hill, swallows skimming by the mill, swallows trooping in the sedge, starlings swirling from the hedge, mark the seasons, map our year, as they show and disappear. But with all this travail sage, brought from that anterior age, goes an unreversed decree, whereby strange are they and we, making want of theirs and plan, indiscernible by man. No, away with tales like these, stolen from Aristophanes. Does it, if we miss your mind, prove us so remote in kind? Birds, we but repeat on you what amongst ourselves we do. Somewhat more or somewhat less, 'tis the same unskilfulness. What you feel escapes our ken. Know we more our fellow men? Human suffering at our side, like yours, is undescried. Human longings, human fears, miss our eyes and miss our ears. Little helping, wounding much, dull of heart and hard of touch. Brother man's despairing sign, who may trust us to divine? Who assure us sundering powers stand not twixt his soul and ours? Poor Matthias, see thy end, what a lesson doth it lend! For that lesson thou shalt have, dead canary bird, a stave, telling how, one stormy day, stress of gale and showers of spray drove my daughter small and me inland from the rocks and sea. Driven inshore, we follow down ancient streets of Hastings town, slowly thread them, when behold, French canary merchant old, shepherding his flock of gold, in a low dim-lighted pen, scanned of tramps and fishermen. There a bird, high-coloured, fat, proud of port, though something squat, pursy played out Philistine, dazzled Nelly's youthful eyne. But far in, obscure, there stirred on his perch a sprightlier bird, courteous-eyed, erect and slim, and I whispered, "Fix on him." Home we brought him, young and fair, songs to trill in Surrey air. Here Matthias sang his fill, saw the cedars of Payne's Hill. Here he poured his little soul, heard the murmur of the mole. 8 in number now the years he hath pleased our eyes and ears. Other favourites he has known go, and now himself is gone. Fare thee well, companion dear, fare for ever well, nor fear, tiny though thou art, to stray down the uncompanioned way. We without thee, little friend, many years have not to spend. What are left will hardly be better than we spent with thee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Rebecca, who slammed doors for fun and perished miserably, by Hilaire Belloc. Read for LibriVox.org by Scarbo. A trick that everyone abhors in little girls is slamming doors. A wealthy banker's little daughter, who lived in Palace Green, Bayswater, by name Rebecca Offendort, was given to this furious sport. She would deliberately go and slam the door like Billy O to make her Uncle Jacob start. She was not really bad at heart, but only rather rude and wild. She was an aggravating child. It happened that a marble bust of Abraham was standing just above the door this little lamb had carefully prepared to slam, and down it came. It knocked her flat. It laid her out. She looked like that. Her funeral sermon, which was long and followed by a sacred song, mentioned her virtues, it is true, but dwelt upon her vices too, and showed the dreadful end of one who goes and slams the door for fun. The children who were brought to hear the awful tale from far and near were much impressed, and inly swore they never more would slam the door, as often they had done before. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Runnable Stag by John Davison. Read for LibriVox.org by Kevin Brown. A Runnable Stag. When the pods went pop on the green broom, and apples began to be golden-skinned, we harbored a stag in the priory coombe, and we feathered his trail upwind. We feathered his trail upwind. A stag of warrant, a stag, a runnable stag, a kingly crop, brow, bay, and tray, and three on top, a stag, a runnable stag. Then the huntsman's horn rang yap, 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 and 4 words we heard the harborer shout, but 'twas only a brocket that broke a gap in the beechen underwood, driven out, from the underwood antlered out, by warrant and might of the stag, the runnable stag, whose lordly mind was bent on sleep, though beamed and tined he stood, a runnable stag. So we tufted the covert till afternoon with Tinkerman's pup and Belle of the North, and hunters were sulky and hounds out of tune before we tufted the right stag forth, before we tufted him forth. The stag of warrant, the wily stag, the runnable stag with his kingly crop, brow, bay, and tray, and 3 on top, the royal and runnable stag. It was Belle of the North and Tinkerman's pup that stuck to the scent till the copse was drawn. Tally-ho, and the hunt was up. The tufters whipped and the pack laid on, the resolute pack laid on. And the stag of warrant away at last, the runnable stag, the same, his hoofs on fire, his horns like flame, a stag, a runnable stag. Let your gelding be, if you check or chide, he stumbles at once and you're out of the hunt. For 300 gentlemen able to ride on hunters accustomed to bear the brunt, are after the runnable stag, the runnable stag with his kingly crop, brow, bay, and tray, and 3 on top, the runnable stag. By perilous paths in coombe and dell, the heather, the rocks, and the river bed, the pace grew hot, for the scent lay well, and a runnable stag goes right ahead. The quarry went right ahead. Ahead, and fast and far, his antlered crest, his cloven hoof, brow, bay, and tray, and 3 aloof, the runnable stag. For a matter of 20 miles and more, by the densest hedge and the highest wall, through herds of bullocks lie baffled the lore of harborer, huntsman, hounds, and all, the stag of warrant, the wily stag, for 20 miles and 5, he ran, and he never was caught alive, this runnable stag. When he turned at bay, in the leafy gloom, in the emerald gloom where the brook ran deep, he heard in the distance the rollers boom, and he saw in a vision of peaceful sleep, in a wonderful vision of sleep, a stag of warrant, a stag, a runnable stag in a jeweled bed, under the sheltering ocean dead, a stag, a runnable stag. So a fateful hope lit up his eye, and he opened his nostrils wide again, and he tossed his branching antlers high as he headed the hunt down the Charlock Glen, as he raced down the echoing glen. For 5 miles more the stag, for 20 miles, and 5, not to be caught now, dead or alive, the stag, the Runnable Stag. 300 gentlemen able to ride, 300 horses as gallant and free, beheld him escape on the evening tide, far out till he sank in the Severn Sea, till he sank in the depths of the sea. The stag, the buoyant stag, the stag that slept at last in a jeweled bed, under the sheltering ocean spread, the stag, the Runnable Stag. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Sentimental Sketch by Alonzo Lewis. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. A Sentimental Sketch. She was a blooming maiden, and she was passing fair. I saw when sorrow laden she sought a home from care. For sickness had come over her, and disappointment too, and every path before her was difficult and new. In days of youthful gladness, when bosoms are sincere, a darkening shade of sadness spread over her brow so clear, and that pure smile, which lighted up her features' smiling glow, was dashed as by some bitter cup of darkness and of woe. They say that in a luckless hour a wandering stranger came, who taught that sin's transmissive power could light the deathless flame, and from that hour she turned aside to sad and lonely ways, and gave to sorrow's reckless tide the beauty of her days. The sun dispensed serenest light, but not for her it shone. The village grew each day more bright, but she was sad and lone. And youth, who loved to wander with her in childhood's glow, now see her pine and ponder amid the brightest show. She looks back on the rosy hours of childhood and of joy, when every scene was flushed with flowers, and bliss without alloy. Those harmless pleasures in her fear are tinged with darkest sin, and every step appears more drear than all the past has been. Oh, can it be that nature delights to mar the bliss, and dash her fairest creature with misery like this? Is there no path to heaven but through a sea of tears, no endless pleasures given, unbought by darkest fears? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Suicide in the Trenches by Siegfried Sassoon. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothmann. I knew a simple soldier boy who grinned at life in empty joy, slept soundly through the lonesome dark, and whistled early with the lark. In winter trenches, cowed and glum, with crumbs and lice and lack of rum, he put a bullet through his brain. No one spoke of him again. You snug-faced crowds with kindling eye, who cheer when soldier lads march by, sneak home and pray you'll never know the hell where youth and laughter go. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Smiles and Tears by Anna Cora Mawet. Read for LibriVox.org by K. Taylor Osen. May 3rd, 2020. www.tla.wabshotpress.org. A smile may illumine the lip of woe, and a tear dim the merriest eye. And sorrow may banish the smiles as they glow, but the tears love will faithfully dry. And there shines not an eye, howe'er mirthful it beam, for which fate has no teardrop distilled, and there sorrows no heart, howe'er mournful it seem, whose gladness for ever is chilled. As the rainbow its iris-hued glory displays, when storm clouds are fleeing the sky, oft the brightest of smiles to the laughing lip strays, when tears have just shaded the eye. Then mourn not the sadness o'ershadows my brow, by joy but forsaken a while, but remember each tear, though so bitter its flow, is the herald to usher a smile. End of poem. This reading is in the public domain.
The Solitary Reaper by William Wordsworth. Read for LibriVox.org by Garfield Dsouza. Behold her single in the field, yon solitary Highland lass, reaping and singing by herself. Stop here, or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain, and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. No nightingale did ever chaunt more welcome notes to weary bands of travellers in some shady haunt. Among Arabian sands, a voice so thrilling ne'er was heard in springtime from the cuckoo bird, breaking the silence of the seas among the farthest Hebrides. Will no one tell me what she sings? Perhaps the plaintive numbers flow for old, unhappy, far-off things and battles long ago. Or is it some more humble, lay, familiar matter of today? Some natural sorrow, loss or pain that has been and may be again? Whate'er the theme, the maiden sang as if her song could have no ending. I saw her singing at her work, and o'er the sickle bending. I listened, motionless and still. And as I mounted up the hill, the music in my heart I bore, long after it was heard no more. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Solitude by Ella Wheeler Wilcox. Read for LibriVox.org by Daniel Davison. Laugh, and the world laughs with you. Weep, and you weep alone. For the sad old earth must borrow its mirth, but has trouble enough of its own. Sing, and the hills will answer. Sigh, it is lost on the air. The echoes bound to a joyful sound, but shrink from voicing care. Rejoice, and men will seek you. Grieve, and they turn and go. They want full measure of all your pleasure, but they do not need your woe. Be glad, and your friends are many. Be sad, and you lose them all. There are none to decline your nectared wine, but alone you must drink life's gall. Feast, and your halls are crowded. Fast, and the world goes by. Succeed and give, and it helps you live, but no man can help you die. For there is room in the halls of pleasure for a large and lordly train, but one by one we must all file on through the narrow aisles of pain. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Stars by Sarah Teasdale. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Alone in the night on a dark hill, with pines around me, spicy and still, and a heaven full of stars over my head, white and topaz and misty red. Myriads with beating hearts of fire that eons cannot vex or tire. Up the dome of heaven like a great hill I watch them marching, stately and still, and I know that I am honored to be witness of so much majesty. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Thoughts by Myra Viola Wilds. Read for LibriVox.org by Brian Dalvig. What kind of thoughts now do you carry in your travels day by day? Are they bright and lofty visions, or neglected, gone astray? Matters not how great in fancy, or what deeds of skill we've wrought. Man, though high may be his station, is no better than his thoughts. Catch your thoughts and hold them tightly. Let each one an honor be. Purge them, scourge them, burnish brightly. Then in love set each one free. End of poem. This poem is in the public domain.
The Three Brigands, from Studies in Folk Song and Popular Poetry, by Alfred M. Williams. Read for LibriVox.org by Dale Grothmann. The Three Brigands, by Alfred M. Williams. Always ranging night and day, the three brigands bold are seeking their prey in the forest old. In the forest old they meet a Greek, and the Greek they slay, from his full wagon bear booty away. Always ranging on the way, the three brigands bold reach a roadside tavern's sheltering fold. One cries aloud, "Ho, landlady gay, bring in your good wine. My daughter shall serve, and I too am fine." They eat and drink, the three brigands bold, but the youngest thief sits pallid and cold. To himself he says, "My cradle should a coffin have made, my infant linen for a shroud been laid, and my swaddling cord my body swayed." The end of The Three Brigands, by Alfred M. Williams.
Lines composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey on revisiting the banks of the Wye during the tour, July 13, 1798, by William Wordsworth. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Danny Asada. 5 years have passed, 5 summers with the length of 5 long winters, and again I hear these waters rolling from their mountain springs with a soft inland murmur. Once again do I behold these steep and lofty cliffs that on a wild, secluded scene impress thoughts of more deep seclusion and connect the landscape with the quiet of the sky. The day is come when I again repose here under this dark sycamore and view these plots of cottage ground, these orchard tufts, which at the season, with their unripe fruits, are clad in one green hue and lose themselves mid groves and copses. Once again I see these hedgerows, hardly hedgerows, little lines of sportive wood run wild, these pastoral farms green to the very door, and wreaths of smoke sent up in silence from among the trees. With some uncertain notice, as might seem of vagrant dwellers in the houseless woods, or of some hermit's cave, where by his fire the hermit sits alone. These beauteous forms, through a long absence, have not been to me, as is a landscape to a blind man's eye, but oft in lonely rooms, and mid the din of towns and cities, I have owed to them, in hours of weariness, sensations sweet, felt in the blood and felt along the heart. And passing even into my purer mind with tranquil restoration, feelings too of unremembered pleasure, such perhaps as have no slight or trivial influence on that best portion of a good man's life, his little, nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and of love. nor less I trust to them I may have owed another gift, of aspect more sublime, that blessed mood in which the burthen of the mystery, in which the heavy and the weary weight of all this unintelligible world is lightened. That serene and blessed mood in which the affections gently lead us on, until the breath of this corporeal frame and even the motion of our human blood almost suspended, we are laid asleep in body and become a living soul. While with an eye made quiet by the power of harmony and the deep power of joy, we see into the life of things. If this be but a vain belief, yet, oh, how oft in darkness and amid the many shapes of joyless daylight, when the fretful stir, unprofitable, and the fever of the world have hung upon the beatings of my heart, how oft in spirit have I turned to thee, O sylvan why, thou wanderer through the woods, how often has my spirit turned to thee? And now, with gleams of half-extinguished thought, with many recognitions, dim and faint, and somewhat of a sad perplexity, the picture of the mind revives again, while here I stand, not only with the sense of present pleasure, but with pleasing thoughts that in this moment there is life and food for future years. And so I dare to hope, though changed, no doubt, from what I was when first I came among these hills, when like a roe I bounded o'er the mountains, by the sides of the deep rivers and the lonely streams, wherever nature led, more like a man flying from something that he dreads, than one who sought the thing he loved. For nature then, the coarser pleasures of my boyish days and their glad animal movements all gone by, to me was all in all. I cannot paint what then I was. The sounding cataract haunted me like a passion. The tall rock, the mountain, and the deep and the gloomy wood, their colors and their forms were then to me an appetite, a feeling, and a love that had no need of a remoter charm, by thought supplied, nor any interest unborrowed from the eye. That time is past, and all its aching joys are now no more, and all its dizzy raptures, not for this faint eye, nor more, nor murmur. Other gifts have followed, for such loss I would believe abundant recompense. For I have learned to look on nature not as in the hour of thoughtless youth, but hearing oftentimes the still sad music of humanity, nor harsh, nor grating, though of ample power to chasten and subdue. And I have felt a presence that disturbs me with the joy of elevated thoughts, a sense sublime of something far more deeply interfused, whose dwelling is the light of setting suns, and the round ocean, and the living air, and the blue sky, and in the mind of man, a motion and a spirit that impels all thinking things, all objects of all thought, rolls through all things. Therefore am I still a lover of the meadows and the woods and mountains, and of all that we behold from this green earth, of all the mighty world of eye and ear, both what they have create and what perceive, we please to recognize in nature and the language of the sense, the anchor of my purest thoughts, the nurse, the guide, the guardian of my heart and soul, of all my moral being. Nor perchance, if I were not thus taught, should I the more suffer my genial spirits to decay. For thou art with me here upon the banks of this fair river, thou my dearest friend, my dear, dear friend, and in thy voice I catch the language of my former heart, and read my former pleasures in the shooting lights of thy wild eyes. Oh, yet a little while may I behold in thee what I was once, my dear, dear sister. And this prayer I make, knowing that nature never did betray the heart that loved her. 'Tis her privilege, through all the years of this our life, to lead from joy to joy. For she can so inform the mind that is within us, so impress with quietness and beauty, and so feed with lofty thoughts, that neither evil tongues, rash judgments, nor the sneers of selfish man, nor greetings where no kindness is, nor all the dreary intercourse of daily life shall e'er prevail against us, or disturb our cheerful faith that all which we behold is full of blessings. Therefore let the moon shine on thee in thy solitary walk, and let the misty mountain winds be free to blow against thee, and in after years, when these wild ecstasies shall be matured into a sober pleasure, when thy mind shall be a mansion for all lovely forms, thy memory be as a dwelling place for all sweet sounds and harmonies, oh, then, if solitude, or fear, or pain, or grief should be thy portion, with what healing thoughts of tender joy wilt thou remember me, and these my exhortations. Nor perchance, if I should be where I no more can hear thy voice, nor catch from thy wild eyes these gleams of past existence, wilt thou then forget that on the banks of this delightful stream we stood together, and that I, so long a worshipper of nature, hither came unwearied in that service? Rather say, with warmer love, oh, with far deeper zeal of holier love. Nor wilt thou then forget that after many wanderings, many years of absence, these steep woods and lofty cliffs and this green pastoral landscape were to me more dear, both for themselves and for thy sake. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To Celia by Ben Jonson. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. Drink to me only with thine eyes, and I will pledge with mine. Or leave a kiss but in the cup, and I'll not look for wine. The thirst that from the soul doth rise doth ask a drink divine. But might I of Jove's nectar sup, I would not change for thine. I sent thee late a rosy wreath, not so much honoring thee, as giving it a hope that there it could not withered be. But thou thereon didst only breathe, and sent'st it back to me, since when it grows and smells, I swear not of itself, but thee. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
War Song of the Saracens by James Elroy Flecker. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. We are they who come faster than fate. We are they who ride early or late. We storm at your ivory gate, pale kings of the sunset, beware. Not on silk nor in samite we lie, not in curtained solemnity die, among women who chatter and cry, and children who mumble a prayer. But we sleep by the ropes of the camp, and we rise with a shout and we tramp, with the sun or the moon for a lamp, and the spray of the wind in our hair. From the lands where the elephants are, to the forts of Meru and Balgar, our steel we have brought and our star to shine on the ruins of Rome. We have marched from the Indus to Spain, and by God we will go there again. We have stood on the shore of the plain, where the waters of destiny boom. A mart of destruction we made at Jalula, where men were afraid, for death was a difficult trade, and the sword was a broker of doom. And the spear was a desert physician, who cured not a few of ambition, and drave not a few to perdition with medicine bitter and strong. And the shield was a grief to the fool, and as bright as a desolate pool. and as straight as the rock of Stamboul when their cavalry thundered along. For the coward was drowned with the brave, when our battle sheered up like a wave, and the dead to the desert we gave, and the glory to God in our song. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
We Are Seven by William Wordsworth. Read for LibriVox.org by Garfield Dsouza. A simple child, dear brother Jim, that lightly draws its breath, and feels its life in every limb. What should it know of death? I met a little cottage girl. She was 8 years old, she said. Her hair was thick with many a curl that clustered round her head. She had a rustic, woodland air, and she was wildly glad. Her eyes were fair, and very fair. Her beauty made me glad. Sisters and brothers, little maid, how many may you be? How many? 7 in all, she said, and wondering looked at me. And where are they, I pray you tell? She answered, 7 are we, and 2 of us at Conway dwell, and 2 are gone to sea. 2 of us in the churchyard lie, my sister and my brother, and in the churchyard cottage I dwell near them with my mother. You say that 2 at Conway dwell, and 2 are gone to sea. Yet you are 7. I pray you tell, sweet maid, how this may be. Then did the little maid reply, 7 boys and girls are we, 2 of us in the churchyard lie, beneath the churchyard tree. You run about, my little maid, your limbs they are alive. If 2 are in the churchyard laid, then ye are only 5. Their graves are green, they may be seen, the little maid replied. 12 steps or more from my mother's door, and they are side by side. My stockings there I often knit, my kerchief there I hem, and there upon the ground I sit and sing to them. And often after sunset, sir, when it is light and fair, I take my little porringer and eat my supper there. The first that died was little Jane. In bed she moaning lay, till God released her of her pain, and then she went away. So in the churchyard she was laid, and all the summer dry, together round her grave we played, my brother John and I. And when the ground was white with snow, and I could run and slide, my brother John was forced to go, and he lies by her side. How many are you then, said I, if they 2 are in heaven? The little maid did reply, O master, we are 7. But they are dead, those 2 are dead, their spirits are in heaven. 'Twas throwing words away, for still the little maid would have a will, and said, Nay, we are 7. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Year That Trembled by Walt Whitman. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Year that trembled and reeled beneath me, your summer wind was warm enough, yet the air I breathed froze me. A thick gloom fell through the sunshine and darkened me. Must I change my triumphant songs, said I to myself? Must I indeed learn to chant the cold dirges of the baffled and sullen hymns of defeat? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.